In the news tonight, His Majesty the King and the Belgian monarch visit the port of Zeebrugge in the city of Bruges, one of Europe's most important and advanced commercial ports. King Abdullah says the fight Jordan shares is not only on the geographic battlefields, but on the global battleground of human values and well-being. And the Egypt Airbus A320 jet carrying 66 passengers and crew from Paris to Cairo has crashed south of Greece. Good evening and welcome to the news at 10. His Majesty the King and the Belgium's King Philip visited the port of Zeebrugge in the city of Bruges, west of Belgium, which is considered one of Europe's most important and advanced commercial ports. It also Europe's largest terminal for liquefied natural gas, receiving natural gas from the Troll gas field via the long Z pipe under the North Sea. The King was briefed on Flux's Belgium services related to natural gas as one of Europe's most important companies in the energy sector. It has nearly 18 entry points for gas into the port, which opens doors to the flow of the vital commodity of Belgium from various European gas-producing countries. Flux's Belgium operates transport, infrastructure and storage networks related to natural gas in Europe. King Abdullah was also briefed on methods of liquefied gas supply through modern and safe technology. Officials at the offshore wind power also briefed the King about the mechanism of generating and storing electrical energy from wind power at the port. Their Majesties also visited the governor of West Flanders province in the presence of King Philip and Queen Mathilde. Their Majesties went to the United States on a private visit. Earlier, King Philip of Belgium and Queen Mathilde held an official dinner banquet in honor of their Majesties King Abdullah and Queen Rania. During the event, King Abdullah said the fight Jordan shares is not on the geographic battlefields, but also on the global battleground of human values, human well-being and human solidarity.
In the name of God, the most merciful, the most compassionate, Your Majesties, Your Royal Highnesses, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Rania and I, as well as our entire delegation, have received such a wonderful reception since we have arrived here in Brussels. And allow me to express our warmest thanks to the royal family, to the government, and to the people of Belgium. Your Majesty, a very meaningful part of this visit was your invitation to see the magnificent Congress column and pay our respect at the tomb of the unknown soldier. I am deeply aware that this memorial recognizes not only the brave soldiers of the past, but also the Belgians who, since 1945 and until today, have given their lives in the service of peace. This memorial is a powerful reminder of the critical role Belgium has had and continues to have in building a future of global security and peace. We come together tonight not simply as longtime friends, but as strong allies who have for nearly 6 decades have stood shoulder to shoulder on behalf of the values our world urgently needs: acceptance of each other, peace, and justice. And as we celebrate our partnership, so must we set the tone for our future by sending a message to those who seek to divide our world. My friends, the unspeakable atrocities committed in this city by the Khawarij, the outlaws of Islam, attack the very essence of peaceful society. Jordanians stand with your courageous people in your fight against that threat. And together, we are part of a larger response. The threat that we face is shared, and it is global. For peace, for security, for prosperity, we have to address these challenges with a holistic strategy that engages on multiple strengths. Let us remember that the fight we share is not only on a geographic battlefield, it is also on the global battlefield of human values, human well-being, and human solidarity. And in this regard, let me say, know that the atrocities perpetrated by the Khawarij are atrocities against Islam. Thousands of Muslims have been victims, in fact, the main target of the Khawarij. And Muslims across the world are not only fighting back, but leading the fight. Your Majesty, my friends, in these challenging days, Belgium's importance cannot be overstated. Your country has had a vital role in bringing peoples and nations together. You have been champions of human rights, inclusion, and mutual respect. Again and again, in the face of adversity, your people have shown the victory of human dignity, courage, and resolve. These are the pillars on which a peaceful and prosperous world will be built. And count on Jordan as your committed partners and enduring friends.
Senate President Faisal Faiz and Lower House Speaker Atif Taraune discussed with their Belgian counterparts means to develop bilateral ties between the legislative bodies of both countries. Faiz Taraune stressed the Parliament's keenness to maintain coordination and cooperation and the exchange of visits with Belgian legislative bodies to serve the relations between the two kingdoms. Faiz reviewed Jordan's stance towards regional issues, mainly the Palestinian cause, the Syrian crisis and the fight against terrorism. He also spoke about the challenges facing the kingdom as a result of hosting a large number of Syrian refugees and providing them with basic services. Jordan, he said, looks forward to a wider role by Belgium through the European Union to increase economic aid to the kingdom to enable it to continue its humanitarian role towards the refugees. Taraune reviewed the reforms being implemented by Jordan to enhance public participation as well as democracy. He highlighted the need for concerted international efforts to fight terrorism and extremism that threaten the whole world. His Majesty the King sent a cable of condolences to Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi over a plane of Egypt airline crash victims. His Majesty offered his deepest condolences to the Egyptian President and people over the incident. Egyptian aviation officials confirmed wreckage of Egypt Air flight MS-804 has been found south of the Greek island of Carpathos. The Airbus A320 was en route from Paris to Cairo with 66 passengers and crew when it went down overnight. The Egyptian Vice President said the rescue operation was turning into a search and recovery. Here's more.
The search over the Mediterranean intensifies for the missing Egypt Air passenger plane. A Greek frigate has reported debris floating close to the source of an earlier transponder signal. The Egypt Air Airbus was en route from Paris to Cairo carrying 66 passengers and crew when it dropped off the radar after entering Egyptian airspace. Greek Defense Minister Panos Kamenos says the plane swerved in midair before plunging from cruising height.
At 3:37, the plane, which was 10 to 15 miles inside Egyptian airspace in the flight information region of Egypt at 37,000 feet, made a 90-degree turn to the left and then a 360-degree turn towards the right, descending from 37,000 feet to 15,000 feet, where the picture we had was lost at 10,000 feet.
Egyptian Civil Aviation Minister Sherif Fethi told reporters the plane's disappearance is more likely the result of a terror attack than technical failure, but he didn't elaborate. In Paris, distraught relatives came to a hotel near Charles de Gaulle Airport for a briefing, just months after Egypt was plunged into a similar crisis. In October, Islamic State claimed responsibility for downing a Russian plane over Egypt's Sinai Peninsula. Russia's security service says this latest crash, too, is in all likelihood a terror attack, but like Egypt, won't say what evidence points to that conclusion.
The Syrian army and its allies press attacks to try to shore up control of a main highway running from the capital to southwestern Syria, including Quneitra province and the Golan Heights. The British-based Human Rights Observatory said government forces have carried out dozens of air raids around the town of Khan al-Sheikh, where rebel groups control areas straddling the highway. The Syrian army said rebels attacked the area first and had been beaten back and driven from some of their positions by government forces. The fighting raged despite international attempts to revive a wider ceasefire in western Syria and restart peace talks.
تم صدر التحصينات التي انطلقت منها تلك المجموعات. كما نشاهد هذه المنطقة
A total of 505 new Syrian refugees from various age groups crossed into the kingdom during the last 24 hours. A military source said border guards provided the refugees with the necessary aid before transferring them to refugee camps. The Jordanian Royal Medical Services personnel also administered first aid to refugee patients through the medical centers at the borders. Border guards foiled an attempt to smuggle a large amount of narcotics through a vehicle and a motorbike that were spotted speeding towards the Jordanian border from Syria. The general headquarters of the Jordan Armed Forces said the border guards applied the rules of engagement, damaged the vehicle and the motorbike, and seriously injured one of the persons involved in the smuggling attempt, while the other smugglers fled back to Syria. The source said the Jordan Armed Forces will not tolerate anyone trying to harm the security of the homeland. The United States and its allies staged 17 airstrikes against Daesh in Iraq and Syria in their latest daily attacks against the militant group. The Combined Joint Task Force said 14 strikes in Iraq hit targets near 9 cities, including Mosul, Kirkuk, and Fallujah, among others. The strikes hit 7 of the militants' tactical units, as well as 2 fighting positions, several fighting positions, and weapons cache. One strike also damaged an oil tanker used by the group near Tel Afar. In Syria, 3 strikes near Manbij hit a Daesh tactical unit, 2 fighting positions, and a mortar system. The world has witnessed the sale of the most expensive precious stone ever offered at auction. Christie's international head of jewelry brought down the hammer after 2 foreign bidders ended a 20-minute battle for the gem. The Oppenheimer Blue, the largest and finest vivid blue diamond, was sold for a record of about $57.5 million after what Christie's described as a dramatic seesaw bidding in Geneva. Sevilla fans took to the streets of the Andalusian capital to celebrate their team's 3rd consecutive European League title and 5th that the team has won in the last 11 years. Sevilla floored Liverpool with a 3-1 victory in the final match in Basel to cement their position as masters of Europe's second-tier competition. As soon as the match finished, the streets of Sevilla became a huge party with people celebrating and chanting all night long. English Premier League champions Leicester City paraded the trophy past thousands of Thai fans in downtown Bangkok. The club's chairman and his son and the vice chairman, along with the Italian manager Claudio Ranieri, helped show off the trophy. Thousands of Thai fans painted their faces, wore t-shirts and waved Leicester City flags. Now a look at the weather forecast. Cool across much of the country for the rest of tonight, with low clouds scattered across the western hilly areas. As for tomorrow, a slight rise in temperatures is forecast, but it will continue to be pleasant across the hilly areas and moderate elsewhere with northwesterly fresh winds. The port city of Aqaba should expect relatively hot weather with calm seas and northerly brisk winds. Now a look at the weather or the temperatures forecast for tonight and tomorrow. And to close here our top stories once again, His Majesty the King and the Belgian monarch visit the port of Zeebrugge in the city of Bruges, one of Europe's most important and advanced commercial ports. King Abdullah says the fight Jordan shares is not only on geographic battlefield, but on the global battleground of human values and well-being. And the Egypt Airbus A320 jet carrying 66 passengers and crew from Paris to Cairo has crashed south of Greece. And on this we come to the end of tonight's news. I'm Louis Balkar. Thank you for joining us and have a lovely weekend.